madam.
Thank you.
Slight drop in pass rate. Any reason for concern?
Not at all. 98.38 last year, 98.3. So 0.08% is about 10 learners. So
Does that maybe have something to do with 10 learners fewer writing exams?
Well, there's new learners that have come into the system writing the IEB for the first time, and sometimes schools take a year or two to settle. So it could possibly be that. But there is the supplementary exam, and I'm sure that after that, those learners will pull themselves through.
What are you doing to improve the situation even further? Because surely we can go for 100%.
Well, one would go for 100%, but it would be unlikely to ever achieve that.
Yes.
But I think, the IEB schools perform consistently. They have a stable teaching population who's well driven and dedicated to education, dedicated to doing the very best they can to help the students understand what they need to understand and keep sitting on them to study.
Do we experience an increase in exemptions certificates for university attendance?
It's also remained more or less stable, slightly down from last year, but stable at 85%.
And how well are the universities receiving the IEB now that it's actually been here for some time?
Well, look, I think the IEB students always prove their own worth. When they get to the university, they work hard. They've worked hard all their school life, so it's not a new thing to suddenly find that you have to work hard. So as with most learners that manage to get to university level, they have to still apply themselves to achieve.
Such a high pass rate, year after year, aren't you worried that some might say it's too easy?
I think that the protector of our standards in the country is Umalusi. Umalusi checks the quality of the papers. They do an external moderation. They moderate the marking to make sure that there's nothing happening in the marking that shouldn't be happening. So I'm fairly sure that the standards that we apply are consistent with the standards one would expect from a school leaving exam.
Do you think we maybe focus too much on these pass rates? Or is it maybe something else we can look at?
I agree with you. I think the focus on the exam and the pass rate in Matric is really is misplaced attention.
How so?
Well, if you look at it, you're at school for 12 years, you write a Matric exam in the last month in November, and then you live the rest of your life. So the bulk of school shouldn't be focused on that exam. It should be focused on preparation for life. And once you get into life, nobody really worries about what you did in Matric. But you do need to pass it to get into, it's like a rite of passage into the next phase of your life. I think we need to be much more conscious about what's happening in our schooling system lower down at the early childhood development phases, at the foundation phases, because that is where the groundwork is laid for success later in life.
But this we only see later in life, whether it was done properly or not, when we become adults. Now, is there something we can do maybe before Matric? Should we maybe introduce exams right throughout the schooling career?
Yeah, look, exams is not the beginning and the end of it. The department has introduced the annual national assessments in an effort to try and catch lower down in the system where things might be going wrong. I'm not convinced that tests are the best way, but systemic evaluations, teacher accountability, and a much stronger involvement of parents in the schooling system. You had a parent speaking about the fact of how much he encouraged his son to work. And the fruits of that encouragement have been paid off with him doing well.
In fact, you mentioned that lady. She was speaking about the Fees Must Fall campaign as well, and how difficult it is for students to actually start studying. Do you have any word on that?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think education is critical in our country.
Yeah.
It is the pathway through which people escape from poverty. It's the vehicle through which success is achieved. And I think that we really have to give very strong consideration to making sure that our education system prepares learners not only for university, where the Fees Must Fall campaign found itself, but technical colleges, technician work, police colleges, teacher training colleges, nursing colleges. Those are all vehicles through which people will gain employment, meaningful employment.
But do we do enough to encourage these other avenues?
We don't. We still have a mindset that the only way after school is university. And I think that's perhaps a misconception as well.
Thank you for your time, Ms. Anna Oberholzer. I know my father's a plumber. He's doing quite well himself.
Yes,
So there we go.
indeed. Absolutely.
Thank you for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
That's Anna Oberholzer.